I want to thank you all for joining us here today to hear some important news and updates from our great leaders in the law enforcement community, a great partnership with our partners at the ATF, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Office of Inspector General. But first, I want to recognize the family of an incredible faith leader, great community leader. Chief Bryan and I met with the family and the larger community a few weeks ago at the Jerry Hammond Center and made a commitment to you all that we would honor his life, his contributions, his service to this community, to his family, to his congregation, by making every effort to bring whoever did this to justice. And this is an important step forward towards that commitment. I thank you all for being here. To Director Clark, Chief Bryant, our officers, the detectives at the Columbus Division of Police will hear from Detective Earl Westfall here in a minute, who did some incredible work along with Assistant Chief Bodker that I'll introduce to give you more updates. But this is an important moment for justice and accountability in our community. Iman was a pillar of strength, comfort, and clarity. He led by example, uplifting and encouraging countless others through his words, his actions, his leadership, his service. He represented hope and inspiration, no matter the circumstances, and he deserved better than to lose his life to a brutal and senseless act of violence. With a suspect now in custody, I pray that this family and his loved ones can begin to feel a sense of peace and closure. Their grief, but our grief, does not end here. But at the very least, we are at an inflection point. We are beginning to change the trajectory of this story. And we are in possession of new knowledge and information that brings us ever closer toward healing and hope. This family didn't just lose an incredible father and husband and family man. Congregation didn't just lose an incredible, compassionate faith leader, but this community lost an incredible force for good, not just to the Somali community, not just to the Muslim community, but to our entire city. I want to thank our officers at the Columbus Division of Police for relentlessly pursuing this case and for seeking to bring resolution to a community in shock and in mourning. I also want to thank our partners, as I mentioned before, with the ATF, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Office of Inspector General, for devoting their expertise and resources to the investigation. Collaboration and communication. This is how we move forward. Gun violence remains a devastating and debilitating reality that we must confront together. It upends individuals and communities alike, often fueling future acts of violence. The vicious cycle we are committed to interrupting and ending in the city of Columbus. We must hold the perpetrators of these crimes accountable for their hateful and cowardly actions, and we are. That is why we're working around the clock, taking action on numerous fronts with numerous partners to reduce the violence impacting our neighborhoods throughout our community. We're laying the foundation for a safer, more peaceful Columbus. Now I'd like to introduce Assistant Chief Bodker to share more about the case. Assistant Chief.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Greg Bodker, Assistant Chief with the Columbus Division of Police. On December 24th, 2021, Mohammed Hassan Adam, a valued member of the Somali community, and a Muslim imam, was found murdered in the 1400 block of Windsor Avenue. What followed that discovery was a collaborative investigation of events leading up to Mr. Adams' murder and those responsible for that murder. This investigation has been led by the Columbus Division of Police Homicide Bureau, but could not have been conducted without our valued partners, the Somali community, the family, the FBI Safe Streets Task Force, the ATF CJIC Task Force, and especially our crime lab, the firearms section. Today I'm happy to reintroduce to many of you Detective Earl Westfall, who is the lead investigator in this case, who will provide a summary of how this case was solved. Thank you.
Good morning. Detective Earl Westfall, Columbus Division of Police. As the chief spoke, we found Mr. Adam was discovered in the 1400 block of Windsor Avenue on December 24th. Previous to that, he had been reporting missing by family, which our missing persons unit conducted an investigation into initially until his body was discovered. Then it became a homicide unit investigation. Subsequent to that investigation, I developed a suspect who I actually filed charges on yesterday, John W. Wooden. I believe it was had something to do with a business transaction between Mr. Wooden and Mr. Adam. Out of our investigation, as part of that, when we developed him as a suspect, we conducted a search warrant at his residence, recovered a firearm, which subsequently was ballistically matched to the casings from that firearm. The test casings were subsequently matched to the homicide scene, some casings left at the scene. At this time, I'm going to ask if any of the family has anything they would like to say.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Detective Westfall, the law enforcement, the mayor, and the community. I am really happy, and my family are really happy, even though this is the most difficult time that we ever faced. But with your support, we couldn't do anything. There are a lot of cases that are not being solved yet, and I'm hoping that all cases are being solved. However, yesterday was one of the biggest day that we heard that the suspect is under custody, and I hope that we receive justice. And we cannot sit down and sit back until that person is being finalized and the case is being closed. Thank you.
Now I'll stand for any questions that anyone has. Go ahead.
Elaborate on one, how did the suspect's name come to the attention of the public, through Crime Stoppers, give you any leads, and can you elaborate at all on the business transaction between the two, how well they knew each other, what was the nature of the business transaction?
At this time, I will say we have received some tips through Crime Stoppers. We would like for those to continue to come in. I don't believe this investigation is completely done by any means. As far as the suspect, like I said, there was a business transaction between the two individuals. I don't want to get too much into that, but that's how his name came about and where we move forward from there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The suspect got criminal history.
He does, yes. He did some time, a considerable amount of time for robbery in the past, and is currently on federal probation.
Do you believe the suspect acted alone? Are there others you're looking at to hear more details?
I do not believe so, no. I believe there's other people involved, and we continue to look for them as well. I don't have all the details on what he did. I just know that that's what he was on probation for, violent crimes in his past. Go ahead.
You said you believe there might be more people involved in this. What's your message to the community right now?
My message right now is the community's been very helpful, as they always are in these cases. We've had tips come in. We like those to continue to come in. Like I said, I'm 100% certain that probably at least one other person, maybe more, are involved in this. And it's my duty and obligation to the family and the community and Columbus as a whole to get everyone involved with this crime put where they belong, in jail.
You spoke about that the suspect and the imam knew each other. Is there any indication that Mr. Wooden was a member of the imam's congregation, or that he was somehow targeted because of his faith?
Not that I'm aware of. And no, there's no indication that he was targeted based on his faith.
Hi, my name is Liban. I'm with Somali TV. There's a word on the street that say that the suspect and one of the imam's wife used to be dated, or his ex-wife. Is there anything that you guys know about that?
No, I don't have any indication that tells me that that's the case.
The suspect went to his house to serve a search warrant, and then how was he eventually located to be able to make the arrest?
I'm sorry, but how was he eventually located?
And how was he located to make the arrest?
He actually showed up at the scene when we were conducting the search warrant on his home. He was taken into custody then.
When you guys was there, were you guys there because of the imam or any other altercation? Like, when you
say that, when we were where exactly? We were there because of the imam case, yes.
That the weapon allegedly used in the crime was still at the home of the suspect. That usually doesn't happen.
It actually happens more often than you would think. I was somewhat surprised, but based on some of the other things that I'm looking into is in regards to this case, I was not completely surprised that the firearm was in the home.
In terms of tracing the rounds that you found connected to the crime, normally that takes quite a bit of time. It seems like this was done a little more quickly.
We were lucky enough that some things were moved in a lot faster direction than they normally would be.
Was the suspect that was driving the van the other day when you guys gave us 15-second video? Was the suspect driving the yellow van? Remember the guy with the turban and all
that?
Right,
we posted a video of the guy driving the van. Are you asking, do I know if that's him definitely or not?
Yeah, I'm asking if that was the suspect.
I'm unable to determine that based on that video because you can't really make out facial features and everything else. I believe there's a high probability it was him, but I can't say one way or the other whether it was him. I'm sorry?
Was the weapon used registered under the suspect's name?
No.
Have you been able to interview the suspect, and has he been cooperative with?
I attempted an interview with him. It was very short. He was not cooperative, and then invoked his right to counsel.
Do you believe he's involved in any other crimes related, violent crimes?
Yes, I do. He has not been released, no.
March.
Correct, yes.
Thinking other violent crimes since then.
Yes, I believe he's suspect in a couple of other crimes as well that we're still investigating.
You mentioned the business transaction. Was this a one-time only business transaction, or was there a history of business transactions between the two of them?
As far as I know at this point, it was a one-time transaction.
When he was released, was he under any sort of surveillance or tracking?
When he was released, I'm sorry?
When he was released, was he under any sort of federal tracking?
Was he under any surveillance? Is that what you asked? No, not that I'm aware of when he got out in March. Thank you, everybody.